Well, hello. I I keep thinking about this word. When we decided, well, we'll do integrity, of course we should do integrity. And I found this quote and I loved it. So I'm going to share it with you. It's by a guy called Stephen Carter, and he says, integrity is a lot like the weather. Everyone talks about it. No one knows what to do with it or about it. So what is this thing called integrity? And we would like to talk about it this morning, not like the world talks about it. We would like to give you a way to think about it that will give you some freedom. Give you some tools that will allow you, when you know that you're completely out of integrity, how to restore it and clean it up and get some freedom. Yeah? So that you don't feel like you're all shackled to this thing. Yeah? Who's interested? Now, he's done this thing with my, I don't know, confused. Jay's flipped the screen on me. Help! We're videoing this. I'm supposed to look professional. There's no integrity in me not knowing my left from my right. So, anyway, put your hand up. I won't put mine up. So, how do we restore our integrity when we're confronted with the things that we make mistakes over? And how do we graciously accept the feedback that we're given, no matter how uncomfortable? My struggle? Well, here's a bit of a brainwave. I called the company Integrity and Values. And sometimes I think, what are you? Crazy? You gave people a stick to beat you with. Because let me tell you, they do sometimes. They tell me, well, you're supposed to be integrity and values. And I go, that's right. And I get it wrong. I make mistakes. And one of the hardest things has been forgiving myself, going and cleaning it up. And I'll give you a few examples of when I wouldn't and was recalcitrant and all those things which you are not. Right? And then, what does it take? What happens when we restore our integrity? So, I'll allow myself right now to put down that stick that I can pick up so often. What does the word integrity mean? We're going to send you off to a breakout room, and that's your question. What does integrity mean? And while you're there, introduce yourself to your fellow travellers here on Integrity Today. Tell them where you're located, what your company is, and have you been to any other of our webinars over the last 9-12 weeks? So thank you for being here. Go off with your moderator and have a chat. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So what does the word integrity mean? So if you said it's honesty, or it's being your word, doing what you said you were going to do, and you know, it's about morality. Would you say that some of you said that one, right? Said all those things. Well, you know, I've spent a lot of time dancing around this word, going, what the heck does it mean? And why is it that there is so much confusion about it? So how about this? I looked it up some time ago, and I thought I'd share this with you. Integrity is derived from the Latin term integer, which means whole and complete. That's it. When we say, and I do as well, that it is keep my word, live up to my values, that's our interpretation of whole and complete. It says that if we say that, now to be whole and complete, we need to keep that word. We need to do what we said we were going to do. And so at Integrity and Values, we say that integrity is our capacity to live up to our word and to a given set of values. So if I asked you this, everyone put up your hand if you would say that the truth was important to you. You want to give it and get it. Okay, good. So we've got people that agree with this. I'm pleased. Right? So that's you've now given your word to, I'll tell the truth. Does that make sense? You're saying the truth's important. So that's the declaration that you just made. In your other hand though, is what you're doing. So in one hand, you're saying the truth's important to me, and in the other hand, it's what you're actually doing. That's integrity. So your declaration is all very nice, and I go, well, whoopee for you. The truth's important. Now do it. That's integrity. So how many of you have told a lie in your adult life? Everyone put your hand up. Right? You know, even little white lies. You know, I've had someone who told me, no, I've never lied in my life. I don't lie. And I went, that's a lie. There you go. So get over yourselves. We all do it. There's a lovely little book written by Sam Harris called Lying. And he's a neuroscientist. Great podcasts and everything. Sam says that as human beings, we lie every 7 minutes. So we've been on here for 7 minutes. How many lies have you already told? Right? There's a conglomerate thing, you know, the stuff we don't want people to know. We lie by omission. We do all kinds of things. And then we say that the truth's important to us. So you're a little bit confronted right now? Because whenever I do this, I get a little bit confronted. Because even though I know this, it doesn't mean that I know how to live it every minute of the day. So if integrity is our capacity to live up to our word, the declarations that we make, the values that we set, then how about this? Being your word, that is living by it, is the access to being whole and complete. And you're going to wobble in and out of it. And that's okay. It's when you don't admit that that's what you're doing that is your problem or my problem. And I've had moments when I do not want to admit that I'm a little bit of a wobbler. And I'll tell you some stories about that. I don't like admitting it. I find there's something greatly cathartic about just admitting I've made a mistake and I've got a big screw up on my hands. So I can have little things that are out of integrity for me, tiny little things. Like my ongoing argument is going to bed. Now look, some people love getting into bed and going to sleep. Nah, I might miss out on something, so I stay awake. And then I'm tired the next day and then I complain. So I'll talk some more about that in a while. So going to bed and doing exercise are the two of the things that I could absolutely put my hand on my heart and say, I have no integrity around it. I cannot keep to... And then I go, oh, I'm going to give this talk. So I think I'll clean my mess up for just this week so I can look good in front of you. Right? So every time we do that, we bring ourselves a little bit closer to who we say we are. And then I can feel righteously good about having done it. Now, you don't think like that, of course, right? But I do. I can do all kinds of things to try and pull myself back into integrity. So what are the things that you do? To begin with this morning, those of you who've been with us, so just put your hand up if you don't know anything about us and you just saw this webinar and you thought you'd come along. Okay, there's a few of you. So for me, right, one of the things that saves me is our integrity model. And at Integrity and Values, we did a whole big piece of research into integrity and leadership. And then we created this model to support us to think about what is integrity. So, how many sailors in the room? Or people who like to sail or may sail one day if they have time or whatever. So this is simply a metaphor. Thank you. And this metaphor helps us or supports us to think about what is integrity. Now, one of the things that they said in the definition of integrity, that integrity is like the hull of a boat. It is said to have integrity if it is watertight. And I'd like to relate that to our model. Are we watertight with who we said we are? And in our research, we discovered that there are 5 fundamental values that we say are important in our society. We want people, and we represent them. Can you put a circle around those bolts? We say that they are truthfulness, responsibility, accountability, loyalty, self-awareness. In the research that we did on what's important for leaders, those were the 5 most important things. And some of you have done the integrity and values profile, what we say is that you want to score 7+ if you are in leadership. To maintain your integrity, how much can you hold and keep those bolts tight? Then you've got your hand on the tiller, which is attached to the rudder. That is your vision. Where are you going? People don't follow people who don't know where they're going. Then that cloud around your head, we call that the impression management score. That's your fake good score, right? And if you fake good, then you'll be scoring more than 5. So you want to score 3, 4, or 5 as a leader. If you score more than that, then you are faking good. You don't want people to know. And you don't know how to talk about the mistakes that you make. You always want to whitewash it. If you score less than 3, then you're hypercritical of yourself and others. And the world isn't a great place for you, or you can't actually see the future. Then you keep your hand firmly on the tiller. You maintain the impression that you're making. And then you can hoist the sails. Now, the strongest part of a sailing boat is where the hull, the keel, and the mast meet. Thousands of pounds per square inch push down in that spot. So keep the bolts tight. It maintains your integrity. You do that, you can hoist your sails. Your main sail, the blue sail, is how you manage yourself and relationships. Super important as a leader. The foresail is the orange sail is how you manage the task. Your job in leadership is to get other people to do the task. How many of you have got other people's work on your desk? Put your hand up. You're doing other people's work. There's no integrity in that. If you were employed to do that, right, then, if you're such a Superman or Superwoman, then great. But no, it's inefficient and doesn't work. So get all of this working. Keep your hand firmly on the tiller. Keep the bolts tight. Maintain the integrity of what you said. Then your people will fly the flag of your vision. Simple, eh? Great way to think about yourself. Yeah, so the 5 values that we measure are truthfulness, responsibility, accountability, loyalty, and self-awareness. Now, I could spend how much it takes to maintain your integrity about those 5 values over and over. Remember what I said. If you said the truth is important to you, now it is a matter of integrity. And what are you doing that doesn't keep your integrity in place? If you said that being responsible is important to you, it is now a matter of integrity. So being truthful and honest and keeping your word about it is the thing that you're up to, okay? So I'm able to make that list of the things that I do not do well. Let me just show you an extension of this model. Let's say you're out sailing. All right, and the goal is over there. And when you sail, the straight line to the goal is the fastest. The thing is though, unless the wind is behind you, you cannot sail in a straight line. You literally zigzag across the line. And what you're looking for is how close to that line can you zigzag. It's called tacking and jibing. A boat spends less than 3% of its time actually on target. The idea, so if you think about, remember I told you that I have trouble going to bed on time and then I'm tired the next day, so there's no integrity in that. Well, if you look at those zigzags, well, I can extend it off the page, right, about going to bed. That's how much integrity I can have about it. Yeah, and with my eyeballs hanging out on the other side the next day, then I'm in trouble. Yeah, can you think of things that you do that just have no integrity? And then you pretend that it doesn't actually affect you. And then you worry about that someone may find out about it because we've got things that we do that, you know, it's a secret. So consider if you say something is important, if my health and well-being is important, then my behavior and the things that I am doing are absolutely out of integrity with what I said. That's integrity. And then what does it take to correct and stay close to that line? We do go in and out, in and out, in and out. I promise you. It's not that we do, that's our problem. Our problem is we just don't admit it. And then we lie to ourselves about the impact that it has. So when we make a promise, we've made a declaration. Now be your word about it. Maintain your integrity about it. And there is a massive cost to breaking your word. When you lead, if you've said something, there is a huge cost. So I'm going to send you to a breakout room. Consider everything that I've just said. Have a look at our integrity model. Think about it. And know that when you're off course, you're breaking promises somewhere. I'm going to send you off and I want you to discuss what is the price of breaking a promise. Off you go. Welcome back. So what is the cost of breaking our promises? When we make promises, there are different kinds of promises. They're either declared, I said it, or they're implied. When we take on a leadership role, there is a bunch of implied promises inside of the role. When we break that, we do not deliver on that, it is now a matter of integrity. Or there's those unspoken promises. If you got married, then you said I do, and then it came with promises. When you went to work in an organization, you said I do, and it came with a bunch of promises. That's how it works. And whether we like that or not, that's reality. Now, what happens when we do break those promises? We lose trust. And when we don't keep it, the trust that we lose is huge. Here's something really interesting. You will make mistakes. You will break promises. You will lose so much more if you don't own up and clean it up. And I'll tell you a story about that in a few minutes. Before we go there, let's just take a minute. What is the link between integrity and values? And it's simply said, if you said so, if you said that was important, now the link between that thing that you say you value and what is going on is now created. Keep it strong. Keep the chain tight. Keep the bolts tight. Remember the boat, because it is your access to whole and completeness. So what is integrity not? That's a good way of saying it, isn't it? What is it not? It's not never making mistakes. Because if you think you walk on water, you're actually setting yourself up for the fall. Then it's not being perfect. And that allows me to segue into our next topic, integrity stoppers. said to someone, well, I'm not perfect, you wouldn't say that, would you? Or I'm only human. You know, I'm human. That's how it goes. I'm human. Or I can't help it. I was just made that way. These are all called integrity stoppers. Or I like this one. I'm Italian. That's why I'm loud and swing my arms around and scream and shout. Right? Or I've always been like this. What, you've always been an a-hole? Really? I don't think so. So, and you weren't born that way. These things that we do, we call integrity stoppers. And there's our favourite ones. Yeah, so I thought I'd share with you my favourite one. And then you can go to a breakout room, have a think about it. You can tell one on yourself. So this is my favourite one. I hide behind, so you would never say this, I'm really busy, you know, because I'm so important. And I've got so much on and I don't have any time. And then at the end of it, I'm really tired too. What are people supposed to do when you say things like that? So that's my one. I'm going to send you off to a little breakout room, be quick, okay? What's the thing that comes out of your mouth that, you know, it's just like, I want to go, what do I do with that? Off you go tell people. And you can blank your photo out if you're worried about what they think about you then. Off you go. So, did you cough up a lizard and tell them the little things that you do that kind of like is slimy? Right? So, what does an integrity stopper do? It lets you and me off the hook. And often it's completely irrelevant to what subject matter is all about. And it unhinges us. And as soon as it comes out of your mouth, you don't need to be your word. It's just plain slippery and slimy. And it's a deflection. It's like throwing rubbish over the fence and hoping no one noticed that you did it. No, you don't do that. Of course not. So, how do you cut across it? How do you maintain your integrity in the face of that? Buckminster Fuller said that integrity is the essence of everything successful. He was one of the finest minds that lived last century. It's almost funny to say last century, hey? So, it's not a predictor of performance. It is required though. Now, when someone uses an integrity stopper on you, do you want the magic thing to say in the face of it? Who's interested? Hands up. Who's interested? You want the magic thing to say when someone says something ridiculous like that to you. So this is what you do. First of all, you've got to practice this in front of the mirror. You've got to make your face all quizzical and go, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, like people go, well, I'm just human. I went, I can't see any animals here. Well, you are human, and human beings are supposed to do X, right? Or, you know, I'm Italian. Well, so what? So you want to say, what am I supposed to do with that? And what has that got to do with the promise that you made that you're breaking? Do you like that one? You want to write that one down. The next time someone says something absolutely bizarre and absolutely irrelevant, cut across it and go, no, that's irrelevant. And what am I supposed to do with it? And then pause, by the way. Do not go on until they answer you. Have them own the ridiculous stuff that just came out of their mouths. Now, I've just given my team my little secret weapon that I use on them. Because when I say I'm tired or I didn't go to bed on time, they'll go, what are we supposed to do with that, Jennifer? Get responsible. Right? So give people the stuff to support you to maintain your integrity. Do you like that one? Now we're going to go to the really big tool that we have for you this morning. How do you restore your integrity? What does it take? And there's 3 steps for the restoration of your integrity. You do these 3 steps and it works. This exercise can restore any little pieces of your integrity that aren't shiny and clean the way you'd like it to be. Now, here's some little things that we could do good integrity cleanup about. Being on time. Like, be on time. It's like, how do you clean up your integrity about that? Is there anyone in your team, or maybe it's you, that's religiously late for meetings? You got that? They're religiously late. How do you clean up integrity around that? Delivering a budget. You said that I'd deliver this and then you don't. That's an integrity cleanup opportunity. Saying a thing is one thing, saying one thing and then going and doing another. You've never done that. Have you ever said yes when actually you mean no? And then pretend that isn't what's happening. So your bonus opportunity. Aha, we love bonus opportunities. And another word for it is your homework. I'm going to go through how to do an integrity cleanup conversation. And then you can practice it after the webinar. So the first step that you want to understand is if you've got an integrity stopper or you've got an integrity issue, you will enroll people in the story that you have, that it's true and it's accurate. First of all, you've got to own that. So the first step is own up. Take responsibility and acknowledge your broken promise or agreement. Own it. Now, people can get really slimy about this, right? They go, oh yeah, I did that. Well, it's beyond that. It's like, really go deep. Go figure out what it is that kept you in that place where you broke your integrity and then pretended it wasn't. Own it. Bathe in it. It ain't pretty. The next step is clean up. You cannot step over this. And a clean up is not, oh, I'm sorry and I apologize. Now, I'm sorry and an apology may be necessary. It is not the crux of a cleanup. The crux of a cleanup is you tell them that you are aware and you get over there, you get empathetic on the impact of your lack of integrity on X. You get the impact on them, much more on them, and a little bit on you, because it also impacts you when you're trashing your integrity and throwing your rubbish over the fence and hoping no one notices. In the cleanup, you re-promise or you make a new agreement. And what can they rely on you for if you do that? Who's getting something out of this right now? It's a really serious conversation. And make sure that they agree with your re-promise. Make sure they accept the re-promise. You know how some people will say to you, yeah, I'm good now, and you know that they're not. They've still got leftovers. They are still, it's like leftovers on the table. You had a lovely dinner last night of lovely juicy chops, but the greasy fat is still on the plate, on the table the next morning. And then you pick it up and you rub it in their face. Don't do that. Clean it up. Nothing left unturned. You make sure that they are clean and you're okay and they're okay inside of it. Once they say, yes, I'm good, I really am good, and you get it and they get it, then you can move on. Yeah? Then, and only then, can you move on. Then the fight is cleaned up. So I want to share with you my lovely fight. This is something that happened about 18 months ago in our business, a little bit more. So about a year and a half, 20 months ago, we decided that we changed the bonus schedule inside of the business. And we turned it into a team bonus. And our team kicked it out of the park in that second quarter that we ran this game. And they hit triple budget. Yay! Everyone's excited. We're jumping up and down. You've had those experiences, haven't you? Then what happened in January, so that was in the December, in January, one of the big deals that actually made up that triple bonus got postponed, not cancelled, postponed. That meant we were not collecting the revenue for quite a while. What are we going to do now? So, this was me. So let me show you my really dirty, no integrity. I went, well, they'll figure that one out, wouldn't they? Surely they know. If the revenue's not there, I can't pay the bonus. Now, just notice what you're thinking in your head and all the judgments you're making about me, right? That's not the issue. The issue is I was pretty dirty here. I had no integrity. And I'm going, why are they all complaining? What do they think I am? Made of money? What do they think? And you can see all my team smiling because by golly, they reeled me in then. No, you are not going to do that to us. We understand and clean it up. So, I had to go eat some stuff. And I needed to put in front of them. I had to own the dirty bit about it. Because the dirty bit isn't that they knew. The dirty bit was I didn't want to face them and tell them this bonus was going to be delayed. Because I would lose face and not look good then. Does that make sense? I had no integrity. Anyway, we sat down and Jay came up with an idea that would work. And we put it to them. And they were happy. And we spelled it out really cleanly and clearly. And it wasn't until I owned the dirty part of my recalcitrance around it that the team could then move on too. So you got to own it up. Then you got to get the impact. Yeah? They would lose trust in us if we cannot face the mistakes that we make. And then agree that this is okay now and we can move on. Here's the fabulous thing, when you do it and you do it well, the subject never comes up again. Have you ever had arguments more than once? Yeah? The same thing comes up over and over and over again. It's because your integrity around it is dirty. You didn't clean it up. And so you have the same argument. For those of you who have a partner, how many of you have the same argument with your wife, your partner, your husband over and over and over again? Because you didn't clean it up. You left greasy, choppy fat on the table and then you picked it up and smeared it in their face the next minute you had a conversation. So if you're wriggling in your chair right now and going, oh, I don't do that, okay, go and take a look. It's not easy to admit that that is what we do as human beings. You cannot reallocate responsibility to someone else when you lead inside of a group. Part of the implied promise and the implicit promise of the leader is to maintain the cleanliness inside of the business in every conversation. When we make excuses, when we go and justify why it is that way, we set it up for people not to believe us and for them not to trust us. In the moment that we show our vulnerability, we give everyone else around us the opportunity to lift. That doesn't mean you fall on your sword. This is not samurai warrior stuff. This is good, clean opportunities to change the way the world views you, your business, and how you lead. It's a very, very powerful tool. Until you clean that up, nothing heals. So nothing heals until it is owned. And as a business and as a leader inside of a business, you own the mistakes that you make. When you break a promise and you cannot, and you step over it and pretend it's not important, you set yourself up for failure. So, circling back, integrity is to be whole and complete. When you clean up, you create and leave things whole and complete. How many of you got a whole bunch out of that little conversation right now? Yeah? It's a deep conversation. It's not easy. Because let me tell you, when my team confronted me, I became quite belligerent. And of course, you know, that's not a pretty look, eh? Not look pretty, I can assure you. And yet, what I'm grateful for is that they wouldn't let me off the hook. All of my integrity stoppers, all the things that I can do to duck and dive and weave, and went off on sailing off into the blue yonder instead of staying with, this is what is so. Yeah? When we own that stuff, oh, the world changes. And then it doesn't come up again. When we give our word to something, it creates the world around us. So when we say something, that word that we spoke now creates your business world, your personal life. So when we say your word equals your world, does that make sense? You gave your word to something. It now creates the world, or not. Either way, your actions determine the world that you now created around you. So don't make promises or declare something as important and then not live it. The world you want requires that you treat everyone as if they are interested in keeping their word. As a leader, I'm going to repeat that. The world requires and wants that you as a leader treat people that they will be their word. And in the moment that they are not, what is now your job? When you do that, it brings freedom into the world. When you are your word, you bring freedom. You are a demonstration of it. And then you are a demand that the people in your business do the same. Integrity builds trust and instills healthy culture. Guess what you get as a bonus if this is maintained? Extra effort. Are you interested? You live with integrity, you demonstrate it, you do all those things. What you get is extra effort. When you said yes to your role as a leader, implicit in that promise that you made is to maintain, uphold the values of the organisation. That's integrity. If integrity is alive and well inside of your business, if your vision and your values are something that are alive and well, then you will maintain some quintessential trust, and your people will absolutely take you with them on any journey. So, the path of integrity takes courage, because there's no agreement for some of the things that you've set out there. And it's the stuff of great leadership. It is the path of principle that builds your character and mine and maintains trust and respect. Keep your integrity. Make sure your bolts on that sailing boat are seriously tight, and don't pretend when they're not. Thank you for being here this morning.